Do you know that mapping is taught in nursery school? Let me show you how they teach it in nursery school. They will give something like this. Let's call this the lower case and this the upper case. You see this A, B, and C. A, B, and C. This they will ask them to match. Match, match. This is called matching in nursery school. Are you seeing this now? They match it in nursery school. The same thing we do here. But this is mapping. Now, before I teach you what is mapping, before I define it, mapping, let me show you something. This at the left-hand side is called the domain. Take note of that. Domain. Why this at the right-hand side is called the codomain. This is the first thing you have to know in mapping. This is the domain. This is the codomain. Now, those elements you have in the codomain are called the image of each of them that is assigned to. Are you seeing it now? Each of them that is assigned to, like this is assigned to this. This is assigned to this. Are you seeing it now? So this is called an image of this. This is assigned to this. This is called an image of this. This is assigned to this. This is called an image of this. Are you seeing it now? So X is an image of A, Y is an image of B, Z is an image of this. Now, what is mapping? Mapping is a rule which assigns an element to another element. Is a rule which assigns an element, this one now, to another element. That is just it. Now, what is the rule and how do we determine mapping? Now, take note of all these things. Let me show you how to determine a mapping. Take note of this. For this domain, all the elements in the domain must have an image. All the elements in the domain must have an image. If all the elements don't have an image, it is not a mapping. That is the first level. So for this now, do all the elements have an image? Yes. So this is a mapping. Now, what about this? Look at this assigned to this. We have A, we have C, but B is not having an element image. Is it a mapping? No, this is not a mapping because that B does not have an image. That is it. Then the second thing you need to know, this element here in the domain must not have more than one image. That's it. This element you're seeing each of the elements must not have more than one image. These are the images. Now, look at this now. This has this image. This has this image. This has this image. It is correct. In as much as this one here, S, is not having anyone assigned to it from here, does not mean that this is not a mapping. This is a mapping. But look at this now. Are you seeing this now? This has an image. This has an image. This has two images. It is not a mapping because it has more than one image. Take that now. We call this the unique element. A mapping is a rule which assigns an element to another element. That another element is called the unique element. This is a unique element. It's not supposed to have, this one is not supposed to have more than two images. Take note of that. So in this case, this is not a mapping because it has more than one image. I'm sorry, it has more than one image. So it has two images. It is not a mapping. But this is also a mapping. So in this case, this is a mapping. This is a mapping. Even if this one is not having any one assigned to it here, but it's still a mapping. Take note of that also. What about this? This is not a mapping because it has two images. It is not a mapping. Now, what is the difference between the codomain and range? Codomain and range. Now, take a look at this. Take a look at this now. Are you seeing this now? This will be the best way to explain it. Take a look at this now. You notice that the codomain here is WXYZ. Are you seeing it now? If you're asked to list the codomain, it's WXYZ. What about the range? Please, the range in this case is only W, Y, and Z. That's just it. Those ones that has those images are the range. Are you seeing it now? This one does not have anyone assigned to it, so it is not the range. But in some textbooks, you just see they will mention they call here the range, call here the domain. In that case, before they call it the range, that means everything inside is being assigned to one particular one. That is what you have to know. So in this case, one of them is left. You can't say this is the range. No, this is the codomain. But look, what are the range? W, X, Y. Because this one does not have anyone assigned to it. So, but what about the codomain? What is the codomain? this, and this. That is W, X, Y, Z. They are the codomain. So that is the difference between the range and the codomain. Another thing you have to know is that the range is a subset of the codomain. Please take note of that. Now, what about function? In some textbook, you don't see this as mapping, you see it as function. You see it as what? Function. Now, what is function? Now, function is a mapping whose domain and codomain are set of real numbers. Whose domain and codomain, for instance, let's take a look at this, and this is a function, and B 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. Are you seeing this now? Are you seeing this now? Now, if they are set of real numbers, we call it a function. So in this case now, this is a function. A function, are you seeing it now, is a mapping whose codomain and domain are set of what? Real numbers. So that's how you differentiate a function and mapping, and also codomain and range. I will stop here. From my next class, I'm going to start with types of matching. Types of mapping. See you in my next class. Thank you.